forces shaping governance, policies, and power. From the halls of government.
You were there. I was not there. Check the record. Wait now. I was not there.
To the voices of the people.
We are suffering. This suffering is too much. It's too much. Look at the students. There's no job. They finish school. There's no job for them.
We analyze the undercurrents, expose the intrigues, and break down the narratives that define our democracy. Dr. Olisa Mbeki delivering razor-sharp analysis, and Ebuka Franklin and Chisom on the question wheel, driving the conversation. We bring you the most compelling discussions on governance, policies, and power plays. Stay informed, stay engaged, stay ahead. The Polity, every weekdays at 9:15 a.m. Exclusive on Udala 104.7 FM Onitsha. When politics unfolds, when decisions are made, we reveal the impact. Welcome to the Polity, your deep dive into the forces shaping governance, policies, and power. From the halls of government.
You were there. I was not there. Check the record. Wait now. I was not there.
To the voices of the people.
We are suffering. This suffering is too much. It's too much. Look at the students. There's no job. They finish school. There's no job for them.
We analyze the undercurrents, expose the intrigues, and break down the narratives that define our democracy. Dr. Olisa Mbeki delivering razor-sharp analysis, and Ebuka Franklin and Chisom on the question wheel, driving the conversation. We bring you the most compelling discussions on governance, policies, and power plays. Stay informed, stay engaged, stay ahead. The Polity, every weekdays at 9:15 a.m. Exclusive on Udala 104.7 FM Onitsha.
Okay, good morning. It's 9:16 a.m. and we want to thank you for always being tuned to the radio 104.7 FM. Of course, waking up with us in the morning and then staying tuned to this very moment. We have brought you our morning show, and then we just finished with break, and now we are going to switch gears to bring you developments in the polity as they are captured by various newspapers. So we are saying welcome to the polity this morning, the Friday morning, September 22nd, 2025. I thank you for always being there. Okay, so the politics on news and current affairs that brings you topical developments in the country, and of course, we get to take our conversations from headlines of various newspapers. And I don't do it alone. I always have a team that stay with me on this very conversation. My name is Franklin Ebuka, and I'm welcoming you officially to today's conversation. And if you are ready, of course, we are ready from here. Good morning, Tony.
Good morning, Franklin Ebuka. Good morning, Nigerians. Good morning, the good people of Nigeria. Good morning, the good people of Southeast India, Anambra, the Onitsha. Wherever you are listening to us from, it's always a pleasure to be here. And we're back in our sanctuary where we pontificate the truth and nothing but the truth. And we are privileged to be here. We thank God Almighty, the maker of heaven and earth, the author and finisher of our faith, for making everything possible. It is not easy to wake up in the morning. It's a miracle. And that's the fourth miracle each time, each day. And we are really blessed.
Okay, so thank you all for being there. We can't stop thanking you because you are the reason why we are here. And this very morning, we have various headlines from different newspapers, basically 4 of them, as we do all the time. And we are going to go straight to the newspaper to see the headlines. We are beginning with the headlines on the Nation newspaper. And the banner headline here says, INEC clears ADA 13 orders to apply for registration as parties. It has a rider. Meeting kickstarts process next week. And that one says 157 applicants failed to scale hurdle. And then you go to the next story that says FCCPC recovers 10 billion naira for cheated consumers. Check story on page 6 of the Nation newspaper. 54.9 trillion naira 2025 budget goes into effect. The story is on page 4 of the Nation newspaper. It has a rider efficiency is goal. And then BOA's 250 billion naira for smallholder farmers. The story is on page 4 of the Nation newspaper. It has a rider VP orders fast track. And then this one says First Bank floors Nduka Obaibana's GHL at Court of Appeal. That's the story on the front page of the Nation newspaper. Security, UK lifts red flag on Kaduna. It has a rider and Saru leader convicted for Kuje prison's jailbreak. And this one says Appeal Court asks Chief Registrar to sell escrow crude belonging to GHL. Others in FPSO Tamara Tokine. And that's the story. And then let's look at the final headlines on the front page of the Nation newspaper. This one says Brazilian ex-president guilty of coup plotting. Check page 5. Nupeng Dangote clash again. The story is on page 7. Then the story of a Brazilian ex-president who has been found guilty, and according to the story, he faces about 25 years in prison due to this very conviction. And we have to go to the next paper this very morning, and we have a Vanguard newspaper for us to look at now. The banner headline says World Cup ex-Eagles demand NFF board quits if Nigeria fails to qualify. The story is on page 8. It has riders. Entire NFF board must go, says Mikel Obi. Olise blames Super Eagles poor run on foreign coach. Okay. Ghana receives Nigerian West African deported by US. The story is on page 6. I think it was on Wednesday that Ghana President Mahama talked about the agreement they had with America, or they had with the USA, for them to receive some deportees from US. These deportees include Nigerians, Gambians, and some other Africans. Dangote Nupeng Bika over alleged breach of pact reach at DSZ headquarters. The story is on page 27. And Veng is saying, if care is not taken, if this is not handled very well, of course, we're going to declare strike. Then, ADC leadership battle to remove Mark Araboshola continues Monday. The story is on page 26. Then you see a picture story of Mr. P2B and the former president Goodluck Jonathan, where they are shaking hands. And it has a headline that says Jonathan receives P2B. Then another headline says 6 days to Fubara's return. Ibas legacies, others raised mixed expectation. Rivers 6 days to Fubara's return. Ibas legacies, others raised mixed expectations in Rivers. The story is on page 14. I learned that Fubara is in London, so by the time he returns to Nigeria, it will be for him to continue the administration of River State. Citing interest of justice, Appeal Court asked Chief Registrar to sell escrow crude belonging to GHL, Konoy, NNPCL in FPSO Tamara Tokini. The story is on page 9 of our Vanguard newspaper. And also, above the nameplate of Vanguard, they have this headline that says First Bank wins appeal in landmark case against Nduka Obaibana's General Hydrocarbons Limited. And the final story you will see on Vanguard, but not on the front page, inside page, it says how self-acclaimed Obi of Lagos planned 1.5 billion naira scam. Police is the one saying so. Yesterday we talked about this, and there is now development regarding why he was arrested, and from police investigation other things have emerged. Now over to Punch newspaper. Nupeng Dangote clash as tanker drivers deal collapses. Check page 21 of a Punch newspaper. It has two riders here. Dangote refinery says union membership not compulsory as Nupeng ponders fresh strike. Marketers urge adherence to MOU. NLC warns refinery against agreement breach. And then 5.6 trillion naira debt. Energy crisis looms as gas firms halt supply. It's on page 22. Court summons Mark others over ADC leadership torso. Check page 30 of Punch newspaper. As supporters await Fubara's London return ahead of resumption, this on page 7 of Punch newspaper. And then beside the nameplate, we have two headlines here. 2027, Jonathan Obi hold closed door meeting. Check page 30. INEC shortlists 14 new party applicants. Disqualifies 157. Check page 14. And the final story on the front page says First Bank lost on the court by banners GHL at the Court of Appeal. I think almost all the papers this morning have this very headline. And then the final paper we have this very morning is the Guardian newspaper. It also has the same headline. First Bank lost on the court by banners GHL at the Court of Appeal. So if this story was sponsored, I can't say, but it looks like a sponsored story. Why it made it to the front page of all the papers we have this very morning. Then banner headline here says open defecation crisis worsens, threatens 2030 sanitation target. The story is on page 6. But how can we achieve this 2030 target when most persons in the rural communities do not have toilet or even latrine? So if we are going to do that, of course we need to put in place those necessary facilities. And even when you even go to the so-called urban areas, you go to markets that do not have toilet, you go to parks that do not have toilet, you go to some public places that do not have toilet. So people who are oppressed, how do they help themselves? Then another headline here says INEC rejects 157 applications, clears other 13 orders for registration. Check page 4. Banks FMCG customers top FCC PCs 9,091 complaints, 10 billion recovery. The story is on page 10. I don't know if Nigerians know that if they have complaints when it comes to the issue of a consumer's right, they can take it to FCCPC, and that commission can take it up without them committing one kobo. Because I know people who have been able to recover their money through this very commission. Because sometimes maybe you go to buy a product and they give you one receipt, no refund of money after payment, and you go home, what you bought is not in good condition. You go back to say, please refund me or change this, and they will tell you very commission can take it up for you and get justice for you to.
True, but then most times many people do not believe in institutions in Nigeria. We have been hearing about the consumer protective agency like the FCCP you are talking about, but it takes time. Nigerians are thoroughly impatient. I bought a good, and then in that process it was not what it was supposed to be, and it takes 3 months, 4 months, 6 months for remedial measure to be meted out to either to me, and then punish those who may have sold wrong product or product with lesser value. The organization, I know the intent of the framers of that very act, those who come up with that act. We have such organizations in many parts of the world, and how do they function? Institutions here are ineffective to a point, and people will tell you justice delays, justice denied. If somebody raises complaints and it takes time, but one, they will tell you they have to investigate the complaints and come up with their own punishment, and at the same time ensure that the product or the consumer, everybody is treated fairly. But how long does it take them to come up with that? And the procedure, are they present in most states? Are they present in local government? Situations where if this happens, you have to go to Enugu, the zonal office. Anything we are doing that is not domiciled in every local government, let's start with local government, its effectiveness will not be. And most times if you go to local government, they may even charge you money. On paper, no money, but on ground, you will pay money. That is how institutions work in Nigeria. They will tell you bail is free, but the truth remains, by the time you want to bail somebody, you understand that bail is not free.
Okay, so I'll speak from my own experience, because I know that FCCPC, they have office in state of the federation, like in Anambra they have one in Oka. I can recall that there was one experience that a friend of mine was having then. He paid for this pay TV, and he didn't get service for what he paid for, and he kept calling them, asking them, refund my money or do this or do that. For over 3 months, They kept toying with him. And one day we were just talking. I said, okay, I have a contact with so and so person, with FCCP. Then it was answering Consumer Protection Council. And we reached out. I bet you it was resolved within 1 week at no cost.
It was resolved within 1 week at no cost. So now the question is, you have a contact. What about those who do not have contact? That is the summary of what I'm saying. We are talking about those who do not have anything. Ordinary Nigerians, common men that are on the streets. If they don't have contact, how would they go about it? You know, if you tell somebody to enter a bus to work just to complain about Go TV, by the time you check the transport and you calculate...
Tony, see what I went to do. The contact I got was on their website.
That's what I'm saying.
The person in question, I didn't know him before.
That is the point.
I went to the website, got the number.
I'm not saying you have contact by knowing somebody there. That's not what I'm saying. You have the contact. We are talking about Nigerians. Many of them cannot go through the internet. And the common traders, many of them, put me any day, anytime, many of them cannot access internet. They cannot even access their website. So how would they come up with, many of them don't even know that these people exist. How many times have you seen them on campaigns trying to tell people we exist, run to us for your protection? How many times? We live in a diverse society. It's also expected of them to be on campaign telling people, even on radio, social media, and everywhere, that they can do this for you. That is one. Secondly, having just an office in Oka, where I have an issue of 3,000. Probably I wasn't treated fair. I bought a product for 3,000 and I wasn't treated fair. And I want to make a report. I have to transport myself from my village to Oka. By the time you calculate the transportation cost, it's even above the complaint I'm going to make. So you must make a availability in local government areas. So at least somebody can easily go to the nearest local government, if possible. Or you can also make here, if you ask, I wanted to suggest this, but one thing comes to my mind. If you say now they should have an office in every police station. Nigerians don't have confidence in police. The thought is once you go to the police station, you must drop something. So, but the point remains, I'm pleading that if they can make the availability in every local government, we have 774 of them. Make it available. In fact, make it reach, make a presence in all these local governments, so that somebody who has a problem of 2,000, 3,000, we may not be looking at the bigger one. We can start from anywhere. We'll not look at the transportation cost being a problem.
Okay, so despite the challenges, I want to encourage Nigerians that when you have a consumer right issues, it can try out. Let's see how it's going to be resolved, because I have a problem with this issue of somebody tells you that once you have taken a product out of my shop and it cannot be returned, even when it's in bad state. Because I don't know where we got that kind of mentality. If you go to some places, you can even take product home, return it the following day, as long as it's in good condition, and it didn't meet your expectation. Of course, you can get a remedy for that. Okay, so let's look at the other headlines we have on Gather Newspaper. Implementation of 2025 budget begins in September, says FG. The story is on page 4. How do we look at this very one, or how do we describe this very one? That a budget that was passed almost at the beginning of this very year, we are going to begin the implementation by September this year. That tells you that execution is going to be very, very minimal. And then another story says ADC split deepens as faction claims court barred Mark Areboshora. The story is on page 6. Well, if you look at that very story, of course, there is no substituting court order barring INEC from recognizing Mark. Rather, somebody filed a suit. The person filed a suit on X party, asking the court to stop INEC from recognizing Mark and co. But the court said, no, we must hear from the other party. And I think the court fixed September 15 for Mark and co to respond and clear why the court shouldn't grant that very expedited application. Then MRA faults attacks on journalists, urges intervention. The story is on page 28. Lagos activates Ebola response system as DR Congo battles outbreak. Check page 26 of Gather Newspaper. Appeal court orders chief registrar to confiscate crude on board. Appeal Court orders Chief Registrar to confiscate crude on board FPSO Tamara Tokin. The story is on page 27. With that, we conclude the headlines on the front pages of the 4 newspapers we have this very morning. So next is going to be for us to take our topical issues and then look at them. Stay with us.
You're listening to The Polity. Get involved now.
Alright, so you are listening to The Polity on Udala Radio 104.7 FM. We are live on our Facebook page, Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Get on that very page and then join this very conversation. Don't forget that you can share the post, like the page, and at the same time follow. On Instagram and YouTube, we also live, Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Stay with us that because we have a lot for you this very morning. And let's begin from Anambra State because there's one development that I came across this very morning. And since that moment till now, I have seen not less than 15 persons who have shared that very post. It's about a development that Anambra State government is planning to set up a second airport in Anambra State. And from what we gathered, that they are looking at Ndi Keliong in Orum, but not local government of Anambra State for the site of this very airport, because there was a tour of the proposed site which was done by the managing director Chinua Achebe International Cargo Airport, Engineer Martin Emeka Nwafo. And during that very tour, he noted that the visit was to identify a suitable, flyable location where the state government can develop an airport and industrial park associated with Aerotropolis. From what we gathered, they're trying to look at things and see how they can tap into the untapped areas in Anambra State to widen its economic reach. I mean, people are asking questions: is that needful? Shouldn't we concentrate on the one we have and be able to expand it? Because the one we have was originally planned to be a cargo airport, but that has not been expanded or that has not been achieved. So, what do you think about this new development about a plan to have a second airport in Anambra State?
The point is, if you look at it, there is always a need assessment. Before you set up anything, there is need for it. And from the need assessment, you move on to other studies, feasibility study, and before you go into development, as the case may be. What is there any need for a second airport? Because the first one we have has turned out to be commercial airport, but from what I've been able to gather, the only thing identified as the need for this second airport is when there are industrial parks, when industries are built around that area for them to transport their goods immediately. But for the fact that there are no industrial parks already, building airport will be like placing the cart before the horse. The horse pulls the cart. Where you place the cart before the horse, it means you are running ahead of your shadow. So I think the idea there, from what I understand, is the fact that there will be concentration of factories. When we talk about industrial park, we're talking about factories that will be manufacturing so many things. There could be those who are into plastic, polythene business. I'm just trying to speculate. We know very well here it could be agricultural products or agricultural produce where once these things are dropped, there will be nearby cargo airport that takes these people to any part of the world. The idea of cargo airport is expected to be international airport where these products are ferried to any part of the world where the airport has direct flight with, or even if it doesn't have a direct flight with, where it has an intermediate flight through which it can pass to any part of the world. So I think it is still at conceptualization stage. First and foremost will be the industrial parks. Without industrial parks sprawling or being constructed, the idea of the cargo airports somewhere in Indi-Kelly, that is the place being touted, and I know that very place for sure that is in Orumba North local government area, and I'm aware that there was a time that well known as Umuchuku. I don't know, but the point I'm trying to make is the idea of second airport can only be sensible if we are talking about citing industries there. I know there is going to be industrial hub. It's part of the plans, but let's begin with in the industrial parks first. Where is expected that whatever comes out from these industries will be taken to any part of the world. You don't necessarily need to take them from Indi Keliongu back to Umweri Airport that is more like a commercial airport. So the idea can only be sensible, just like I said earlier on, when we begin with industrial parks first. Let's start with industrial parks, where there will be concentration of industries, where we're going to have all manner of industries as we have in Inewi, where major industries in southeast or in southern part of the country, we have presence in that very place. I don't know the sparse of land they have, because most times when you look at this thing, there are some studies you conduct. You talk about the area, the topography that is more likely and well situated for airports, and you also talk about the proximity. I'm also looking around the place being Orumba North. If most times if you are talking about airports and some of these things, we are looking at towns that are at the central part of the state, because you don't know what's going to happen. There could be some level of state adjustment. We are talking about one additional state. If it comes up where a state that is close to the boundary, what happens? Your investment, your assessment will be given over to the new state. So that's why most times states try as much as possible to cite projects as big as this to a place where it is at the center of the state, so that in any form of adjustment or future state creation, it will not take the investment to another place. So I don't know about that, but it is also going to be considered. So you consider the sparse of land that very time also. It might not really be in the Kelionwe alone. It could also come from different neighboring towns around there. So I don't know, but that's the point. The point remains that it can only be sensible if the industries talked about can be well cited and they will sprawl off from those areas, as mentioned.
Right. So let's now go to the first story we have this very morning, which is about the story we talked about yesterday, how police arrested the man who was parading himself as Obi of Lagos, saying that he breached a certain law. So this very morning there's an update on this very story, and according to Vanguard newspaper, it says that Lagos State Police Command said preliminary investigation have uncovered how 65-year-old man Engineer Chibike Azubike, who paraded himself as the Obi of Lagos, allegedly masterminded a fraudulent plan to swindle unsuspecting Nigerians through a bogus 1.5 billion naira palace unveiling. The story says that it will be recalled that Azubike was arrested alongside 3 others over an aborted installation ceremony in Amuwa Dafe. Now, giving an update on the arrest, the police spokesperson for the command said that Azubike confessed that he is not a certified engineer, as he had claimed, but a mere supplier for construction materials. Now, the story goes on, and they have to quote what the police said. Police investigations revealed that the suspect had announced plans to unveil the prototype of 1.5 billion naira Palace of Obi of Lagos State at Apple Hall, Amuwodofi, on Saturday, September 13, 2025. According to detectives, the event was designed as a ploy to defraud dignitaries and the unsuspecting members of the public. Now, police goes on to say that the suspect acted alone without the backing of any legitimate traditional authority in Lagos, and the police went on to warn Lagosians to disregard his claims and the misleading social media publication. Now, I stumbled onto the invitation card that he printed for this very event. So let me just go and read out what is in the IV before we talk about the latest developments. Now it says Corporate Affairs Commission special invitation. You are specially invited to the unveiling of the prototype of 1.5 billion naira palace of Obi of Lagos State and the celebration of his first Ofala festival, and New Yam Festival. Venue Apple Hall, Amuwa Dolphin, Lagos State. Then the date. Now look at the projects include office complex, event center, guest house for Igbos in distress, shopping plaza, and I now has a telegram where his name is included. Now police is saying that what the man actually planned was to convene an event where he's going to raise money for himself. Tony, yesterday when we spoke about this, people were saying that police was going after him because of where he came from or where he comes from.
Yesterday, when you hear prototype means something more like a model of what you want to do. That's what prototype means. Yesterday, when we were talking about this, we also know that it was going to be a prototype, unveiling of a prototype. A prototype is not building itself. It's more like a kind of a construct, a little thing, a design. I think that's the best adjective to qualify it. A design of what you want to construct. It's more like a fundraising project. We know this. But the point is, as we said yesterday, there is a law, there's a governing law in Lagos State that governs chieftaincy matters. And the young man, truth be told, from the look of things, he's just an ordinary trader. And I love traders. But I like traders when especially they're smart. Even if you are not learned, I don't want to use the word literate or illiterate. Even if you did not pass through any formal institution, because they may be literate in their own right, because they may pass through informal institutions. The key thing is you must ask questions. Wherever you are, wherever you find yourself, you must ask questions. Ignorance is never an excuse in law. The law will have its own cause, there's no doubt, because I'm also learning that there are a lot of people, even on Hanes and Debo, and some groups, they have disowned him. I'm aware that the association of Ezendebo. Now, I think if I can get that correct, the Igbo traditional rulers and leaders from 12 southwest and south states outside Igbo land, they have disowned this Azubike Chibike. They also announced plans to hold, which, the point is, they issued a communique. They came under the banner of the Association of Ezendebo. Now, Uzo Ije, Ezendebo Nozo Ije, that is in Johnny, which is Southern Zone. And they say that Azubike is not a member of their association and does not represent the Igbo community in Lagos. That communique was issued by the president, Eze John Eze Boade, the Ezudo of EBA, LCDA, that is EBA Local Council Development Authority. And they went further to caution the young man. And they also asked Governor Babajide, the governor of Lagos State, the Lagos State Council of Obas and Chiefs, and the public to disregard Azubuike's claims. But we must have some level of decorum on how we go about this issue of Ezendebo. I'm learning that these people have their own association, and they call their own association Ezendebo Nozije. So if you translate it, it will mean association Noko Ndebo Ezendebo Nonozije. So I don't know they have such association. That's the point I'm trying to make in the first instance. But the point remains that the young man probably wanted to use this into, just like police said, it could be to scam people, unsuspecting members of the public. He may have invited friends that he has declared himself to be the Igbo of Lagos State, where they will donate money for his palace, which he has designed that it will cost 1.5 billion. So for police, they are looking at it from another angle, apart from the issue of the chieftaincy law.
Because I'm wondering what he stands to face now, because police has said that he's going to be prosecuted. And if you look at things, you know that obtaining something by false pretense is a crime under the Nigerian law. If you are going to obtain money, goods and services, property, or any advantage from another person by lying, deceiving, or making a false representation with intention to cheat, in Nigerian law, it is captured under Section 1 of the Advanced Fee Fraud and Other Related Offences Act, and also even under Criminal Code. If you look at sections 419 and 421, now this is like what we call the popular 419 offense. And I'm wondering, by the time police decides to prosecute him, he might face up to 7 years imprisonment for what he did, Tony.
I think he hasn't done that.
For what he intended to do.
That is attempts. He hasn't done that. I think if you look at when you have done something and when you attempted to do something, the punishments are quite different anyway. Another thing is they must prove beyond reasonable doubt. Because if you prefer this charge against him, you must prove that he wanted to scam people. How would you prove it? He sent invite to people that is. I think if police go in that line, they may not have any serious charge they may defend in the court. I'm not here to speak for them, because what you present before the court is something you can defend and you can prove beyond reasonable doubt, because that's what the law says. You must prove beyond reasonable doubt. The one that is obvious and glaring is the fact that he violated the chieftaincy law of Lagos State. You can't become Oba. You can't become anything without the approval of the state governor. That's according to the chieftaincy law, which we cited severally yesterday here. So, yes, he may have this intent to scam people, but you also have to prove that he truly had the intent. Because if you say he printed invite alone, it's not enough to prove it. It's not enough. That invitation card he printed is not enough to prove that he wanted to scam people. It's not enough. Even if he had sent text messages to friends, it's not enough to prove it. So, the way and manner, if they prefer that charge against him, they may not prove it. They may not prove it. The one that is obvious is the one we are talking about, the chieftaincy law. So, whatever charge you prefer against somebody, be sure to prove, because he who alleges must prove. Because if you go to court, you are the one alleging, you have to prove it. And I have always maintained the principle of this issue of he who alleges must prove. Onus propandi in cubi equidesit, non equinegat. I've emphasized so much about it. I think the clear thing, the issue of he wanted to scam this and that could be true, but I doubt if the police can prove it. That's the point I'm trying to make. Printing invite alone does not prove it. It does not.
All right, so let's look at the story about Nupeng and Dangote clashing as tanker drivers deal collapses. This is the story as captured by various newspapers. It's on Vanguard. It's also on Punch newspaper. But from what we gathered, we heard that fragile truce which was brokered between Nupeng and Dangote refinery by that very meeting, which was convened by the Ministry of Labor, that it seems to have collapsed because Nupeng is threatening that they might go on strike. According to them, Dangote Refinery has breached a part of the MOU they signed. And if you look at the issue in question, they are saying that Dangote Refinery told tanker drivers to remove a certain emblem of Nupeng on their trucks. And that has been the issue. And I also learned that some truck drivers blocked Dangote Refinery, refusing that people should not load from that very depot. And this seems to be the loggerheads we're having now. So are we back to where we just came out from 2 days ago?
I think if you thought most headlines that we are saying that he has collapsed, nothing has collapsed. Nothing. But I think there is still disagreement. The MOU they signed, it hasn't collapsed from what I've gathered personally. I think the problem they have is very clear. We have Alhaji Sayu Dantata, who is a cousin brother to Alhaji Dangote. I listened to Williams Akboreha, the Nupeng president. In fact, if you look at all the things he said, he was accusing Alhaji Sayu Dantata of breaches. He said, I think he accused him of forcefully entering into refineries, which according to him is against the ethics, procedural engagement with refinery workers. Even if you own a refinery, there is a procedure, there is a protocol. You can't just forcefully enter refinery because it portends danger, it portends security threat. That's according to him, number one. Then number two, he said that he also ordered the drivers to remove the Nupeng stickers on these trucks. Order them to remove the stickers. And at the same time, he used, according to Williams Akboreha, the president of the Nupeng, that he used Navy officials to ensure that the blockade they had placed for compliance, the blockades were removed. You know how Nupeng, you know how they do their things. For them to ensure compliance, that people comply with their directives, their order, they will carry trucks to block drivers that do not comply with their directives. So they were ensuring compliance. But Alhaji Sayu Dantata, cousin brother to Alhaji Dangote, used Navy officials to remove some of that. They are waiting for him. But if he continues, they have put their members nationwide on alert mode that any minute they may begin another strike if Sayu Dantata does not refrain from what he has been doing. That he was using helicopter flying all over these trucks to ensure that the union, that is Nupeng, does not obstruct the flow of their distribution. And in that helicopter he was flying over, that that we are Navy officials, and according to them, they said that the Navy officials paid by Nigerians with the taxpayers' money being deployed by one single man. I think that's the problem they are having, because if you look at it, not that they have reneged substantially on the MOU they signed.
Because I was about to ask, what are the breaches that Nupeng is talking about that Dangote Refinery has breached?
I think I mentioned all of these things here. One, why would he enter the refinery forcefully?
Now, like,
then secondly, why would he bring sticker? Why would he ask them to remove their stickers?
Is it part of the content of the MOU that they signed 2 days ago?
For me, it's not. For me, it's not, because if you look at the MOU they signed, I think the major thing, allow the unions, allow the members of the either the Nupeng, if they were formerly members, they should be allowed to unionize. They should be allowed to unionize. Allow truck drivers to be members of the union. But they are saying, if you were a member of Nigerian Bar Association, don't you put the sticker of Nigerian Bar Association on the vehicle you are driving? But you have to ask this question: does the vehicle belongs to you or someone else? Would I use my union vehicle? Oh, sorry, would I use our union sticker and place in someone's truck? That's another thing. But these things are, for me, inanities. They are petty issues. Issue of sticker, whether you place the sticker or you don't place the sticker, according to Nupeng, even though it was not contained in the MOU, that it is their tradition to use their union sticker on the trucks, because once they cite it, they will know that the person is a member. That how would they be able to identify members or no members, if you want free flow of your distribution, allow these stickers. So whenever we sign them, we know they are our members, and whenever they have issues, we come to their rescue. So I think these things are not part of the MOU. But I know Nupeng, Inaponwatakele, Ifo Jibili, he will find a way to fight back. Nupeng believe that Dangote has crushed their middleman business like of a thing, and where he has decided to make delivery without involving them. So they are holding to the last straw. Oh, if you have taken this from off, okay, no problem. But that's the board there. They must comply with our directives. So these drivers in view. Before now, these drivers, you know, they have a lot of people who are in that business. They have just trucks. What they do is to ferry this product from one place to the other. They have these trucks. So those people who have these trucks where their primary business is just to ferry. Dangote seems to have removed part of it, or substantially removed part of it, and it is affecting them. So many of them that have to, what would they do with their trucks? And where they go to the country, Dangote country, load this product, take to any part of the country. Dangote has released 4,000 trucks, and he's going to release another 6,000 trucks. And he is trying to phase out these truck drivers that will come to his country to load this product. They're not happy about it. Many of them are family men. Many of them have had these trucks, and now you are pushing them out of business. They have not having this what do you call it? They are not having it easy with the Dangote. But I think the least they are doing now is what they are doing now, where they are saying, "Oh, if you have taken us out of business, if you have taken us out of the business, okay, bring your sticker, bring your fire extinguisher, bring all these petty issues."
Okay, so because in the midst of this thing, you know, all this while Nupeng has been accusing Dangote Refinery of one or two things, saying that he's stopping people from joining their union and what have you not. Dangote Refinery kept mum, but as of Wednesday, I think the company released a statement where it stated its own part of the whole thing. It's saying that joining Nupeng is an optional thing. That they are not trying to stop their truck drivers from joining Nupeng, but it's an option that nobody is going to mandate anybody to join Nupeng. And on the other side too, the company has now said that by Monday, which is September 15, is going to begin this direct petrol distribution to marketers. And I'm just wondering how it's going to impact the price of petrol as well as availability in the entire system. So do you think that with what is playing out now, Nupeng having this loggerhead with Dangote Refinery, that we might likely have some kind of shortfall in the system, which might impact us in the long run?
I think,
or in the short run.
The basic thing is that allow competition. I like competitiveness. Dangote should also allow competition, because over time he has not allowed competition. He has enjoyed monopoly. But where somebody is enjoying monopoly, he will like to crush that monopoly the person is enjoying and bring competition. But where he's enjoying monopoly, he wouldn't want anybody to come close to it. That is business interest. So what we are trying to do now is to liberalize that very sector. If you have truck, if you have so many, there are people that I know, they have about hundreds of trucks. Their business in their sector is to ferry product from one location and to the other, and they get paid, they make their money. So you ask Dangote, when you say that it's optional, I think he's being economical with the truth. There was a form, according to the Nupeng, where the truck drivers are so recruited, we are asked to sign that they will not join any union. So how does that translate to being optional? Why was it an issue in the first instance where they have to fill a form? So I think they are being economical with the truth. What we are trying to do is to clear every road. The point remains that they have every right to distribute their product to any part of the country. Dangote has such rights, and he has activated that. There's no problem. But you also have to allow these truck drivers to be members of the union. And at the same time, issue of union, just like we have always maintained, is something optional. Even the constitution does not mandate you must be a member of the union. We have cited the other part of the constitution. Freedom of association. Even the Trade Union Act does not make it mandatory that if I belong to this organization or if I'm a member of this profession, I must be a member of the union. It is not mandatory. But there are some, because of regulatory purpose, like if you're a medical doctor, it's expected of you to be a member of Nigeria Medical Association for them to have oversight on your practice. Because if they don't have that oversight, because what that thing you do has to do with life. So it is very clear in most of these acts establishing some of these associations. If you're a pharmacist, it's expected of you to be a member of Nigerian Society of Pharmaceutical Council. The idea is for them to have oversight. If you're not their member, you will not be allowed to practice. So these are exceptions. But when it comes to trade union, we are talking about these are, remember, professional bodies. These are professional bodies, which is quite different from trade union. So trade union, for me, it's strictly optional. If I'm trading on this product, if I'm trading on that product, I can decide to be a member of this union. I can decide not to be a member. But where I choose to be a member, I should not be prevented. So okay. I think it is clear enough.
All right, let's talk about the place of the people in this whole thing, because for Nupeng, they know what they are fighting for. Dangote also knows what he's fighting for. From what Dangote Refinery has announced, that by September 15, which is by Monday, is going to begin that very direct distribution. And according to Dangote Refinery, is going to do it at no cost to marketers. You know what marketers do is that they go to depots and get their products. And from my interaction with Ipman, Southeast Unit, the one that Engineer Chinedu Anyaso is in charge of, he said some of their members go to Calabar to source their products, some go to Lagos, some go to Warri. So depending on where you get your product, it can impact on the price. Because sometimes I was asking him, why is it that sometimes when you go to petrol stations in Enugu, you get the product cheaper compared to Anambra State? Now he told me that they factor distance in the price of a liter of petrol at petrol stations. Now, but once Dangote rolls out this very initiative, which he planned it for August 15, but that did not take off because of the delay they had in taking delivery of those trucks. Because initially they ordered for 4,000 CNG power trucks, but 1,000 of those trucks were delivered as of last time we checked. But they are saying they are not going to wait till all the 4,000 land. Rather, they are going to begin with the 1,000 that have landed already and begin this very distribution. And it appears like they want to, top up the war with Nupeng. Now, from what Dangote said, they said that by that Monday, that the new gantry price is going to be 820 naira per liter. And then they are going to begin with 11 states. They're going to begin with Lagos, Ogun, Oyo, Ondo, Osun, Ekiti, Abuja, Delta, Rivers, Edo, Kwara, and later they are going to expand to other states. And they have given out the price of a liter of petrol in each of these very states. Now, I'm talking about the people. How would this initiative of Dangote benefit Nigerians? Then how would the fight of Nupeng either benefit or put Nigerians at disadvantage?
Remember my constituency. I have to speak for my constituency. And from the look of things, Dangote has rolled out the prices of liter of product. But it doesn't mean that the price they have rolled out, if you go to the filling station, you are going to get it the same price. Because the filling station must buy and make profit. The fuel station is in business. So they have released the price. And then the price they release according to his words again.
Is between 841 naira and 851 naira, depending on the location. Like people who are in Ogun State can get at 841 naira because it's closer to the refinery.
See, let me explain this. If they are having differences in price between these, depending on location, it means that they're factoring in the transportation in the cost of the product. When they say that they will give you the product or they will ferry the product from their gantry to your location at no cost, is not true. Do you know why it's not true?
I think okay. Look at
It's
the
not true.
look at the idea. No, what I'm saying, I understand where you're coming from, but what I'm saying is, the marketers are no longer the ones going to go and rent a truck and pay for it. Rather, Dangote is going to bear the cost, but at the same time, he's going to factor it in the price of the
He's
product.
not bearing the cost. He's factoring the cost in the price
In the
of the liter. So he's not the one bearing the cost. But just that it will be less costlier if the members of these truck drivers, or if somebody who has a truck, or somebody who wants to rent, because most times how you bring these products, you rent a truck first. If you're a marketer, you have to pay for the truck. And once you pay for the truck, you pay for the person who is going to drive the truck. And then all the money you are going to give agboroos and different people that will block you on the road, you have to settle them. And by the time it gets down here, the product sells at 900 or something. But once Dangote brings it to you, look at the price you mentioned. Probably they have factored it based on location. Those who are in Ogun, see their price being something 841 naira. Then you look at those who are in Delta, 851, difference of 10 naira. Now they have factored those things, and if you look at it from every angle you look at it, it is cheaper. I mean, the constituency of making things cheap for Nigerians so that they can afford it. But if you look at some of these products, how much I think they are selling, I don't know how much I bought last time I bought petrol. I think I bought somehow 890 something naira. I think 890 something, close to 900. But I know it is not up to 900.
What the last 2 days ago in Oka, I bought for 900.
Okay, I think about was it 2 days ago or thereabout, I bought 890 something, 894. So can you measure the difference now? When you're talking about 851, as in Delta State, because Delta and Onitsha will be almost the same thing, 851. Then compare it with 895 or 96. Remember, some are selling 900. So I think it will be proper. Most times they sell a liter with 10 naira. That's the common practice. They sell a liter. Most of these marketers, most of these fuel stations, they sell a liter with about 10 naira, or some out of greed sell with 20 naira. So it also implies that if Dangote brings the product to them here in Onitsha, we are using Onitsha as our yardstick, at 851 naira. So these petrol stations will sell 871 naira. Let's give it to them that are selling a liter with 20 naira. It's 871. So it is still better compared to when you buy 890 something. So 871 is cheaper compared to 890 something. So if you factor it that way, and there will be no disruption. And Dangote says that you can place your order. You may not need to pay. Once you place your order, you can pay on delivery. Now, they have given them different facilities.
Can Dangote alone shoulder this responsibility of wetting Nigeria, ensuring that there is constant supply?
He can. The refinery is the biggest in the world. Hope you're aware. It's the biggest refinery in the world. And it costs about $20 billion to put it. Where Nigerian government has a stake. Where many banks borrowed money, and he is concerned that he has to meet some of the borrowing, some of the debts he incurred in putting on such a project. So he is running ahead of time. So that's why you see him doing all these things. He has had an issue with the former NNPC Limited Group Managing Director Mele Kyari over supply of the raw crude, and then issue of naira for crude, and where these things were perfected by Mr. President, because that thing nearly made him to cry. He nearly, but Tinubu came in and then gave a directive. Even he had given that in the first instance, but those directives were not complied with. Tinubu came in and ensured that NNPC should supply Dangote raw crude at whatever quantity he demands, and that is one. And secondly, it should be in naira, because Dangote says, if you give me the product in dollars, I'm going to sell in dollars. And if you bring dollar in anything we buy in this country, we cannot afford it. We cannot afford it. So that is crude for naira. That's what is working now. So he has the highest refinery in the world. Dangote can show that it can serve the entire of West Africa with 650 100,000 barrel per day capacity refinery. He can show that the responsibility, but we don't want monopoly. That's the angle I'm coming from. We want competition. If you allow him monopoly, he will start this way. Before you know it, he will become tiger. So we want our local refineries, Warri, Port Harcourt, even the one in Onne, we want them to start working. So there will be this competition between him and NNPC. And we also want those who want to build refineries. If possible, if government can support likes of Ibeto, support them. They want to build. Support them the way you supported Dangote. Dangote is not the only person the government at all time, from time immemorial, will be supporting. Support other Nigerians who are into business, so that you do not in any way shut down businesses because of one man. Let's bring in competition, healthy one, not monopoly.
So can we say that that issue of competition is what Nupeng is fighting for?
Nupeng is fighting for his own business interest, not necessarily competition. Nupeng is against direct distribution. Let's be real. They want to be in the business of distribution, where the middlemen rent trucks. Those trucks that will be rented, you pay for them. You see, my own is what we make the product cheaper. Nupeng is fighting for its own business interests. Allow them to be members of Nupeng, no problem, because the fact remains that being members of Nupeng will not change the price. That is why I said allow them, and the law supports that. That's what the law says. Allow them to be members of the Nupeng. That will not change the price, but it can bring disruption if care is not taken. But it can be managed. So Dangote wants to make sure that these products, the refinery cannot just work redundantly. He wants to optimize the capacity of the refinery to make sure that you can have, if you are credit worthy, you can have these products and pay in advance. That's the way he wants to structure everything. You can have the product, you can pay in advance. He wants to make sure that the product circulates everywhere. There's much availability of the product. So that is what we want. But we are saying that we have had his own excesses, because it's not so in the case of business. We saw the drama that played out between him and Bua Cement. Bua wants to make sure that his monopoly in that industry is crippled. He fought him. He fought Ibeto using President Olusegun Obasanjo. So I don't want to go into that drama. So if you look at the person involved, he has crippled so many businesses because of his own personal business. But we are concerned about moving forward as a country.
Okay, so let's go now and go to politics, which is Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, shortlisting 14 associations out of 171 applicants seeking registration as political parties. It was yesterday that INEC issued a statement saying that the 14 associations were clear to proceed to the next stage of the application to be registered as political parties in Nigeria, while the remaining 157 applications were rejected for failing to meet the threshold. Now, at the end of the day, INEC is saying that they evaluated the applications based on certain provisions of the 1999 Constitution, and then the Electoral Act of 2022, as well as INEC's regulation and guidelines for political parties of 2022. Now, INEC cited Section 222 of the Constitution as one of the bases, and then Section 79, subsection 1, 2, and 4 of the Electoral Act, and Clause 2I and II of the Commission's regulations and guidelines for political parties of 2022. These are the basis upon which INEC evaluated all the applications and came up with 14 out of 157. It's saying only these 14 were able to meet with the criteria, and that's why they have been listed. Now look at the associations. African Transformation Party, ATP, All Democratic Alliance, ADA, Advanced Nigeria Congress, ANC, Abundance Social Party, ASP, African Alliance Party, AAP, Citizens Democratic Alliance, CDA, and the Democratic Leadership Alliance, DLA. Then others are the Grassroots Initiative Party, GRIP, Green Future Party, GFP, Liberation People's Party, LPP, National Democratic Party, NDP, National Reform Party, NRP, Patriotic People's Alliance, PPA, and the People's Freedom Party, PFP. Now let's talk about those criteria so that we now fathom how difficult it was for the 157 who failed to meet these very requirements. how difficult it was for them.
I think if you have to talk about the criteria for registering a political party, I wanted to talk about the Supreme Court landmark judgment sometime in 2002 that opened the window for registration of political parties. And then, but before then, I will talk about these criteria, the regular requirement INEC talked about that these political parties must meet. So if you look at it, you find out that we have most times enumerated some of these things here, but in summary, the first of these will be formation of an association. And then if you look at legal basis section 222 subsection A and B of the Constitution of Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended requires an association seeking registration as a political party to have a constitution, rules, and a democratically elected governing body. That is number one, in line with section 222 A and B of the Constitution. Then if you also look at section 223 subsection 1 and 2 of the Constitution, that association insists on democratic election of national officers and periodic election not exceeding 4 years. We have mentioned this. It was a case where Abure had been there from beyond 4 years, which is in violation of section 223 subsection 1 and 2 of the Constitution. So you also look at the Electoral Act that mandates political parties to maintain membership register and submit such to INEC. So that, if you look at that, we call it a legal requirement. Then you also have compliance of name, logo, and program with constitutional provision. If you look at section 222 subsection C of the Constitution, it prohibits ethnic or religious connotation in party names, symbols, or mottos. Your party must not have religious or ethnic connotation. If you go by section 224, it provides that the aim and objectives of a political party must conform to the provisions of chapter 2, fundamental objectives and directive principles of the state policy. And it must also be to agenda good governance in the country. So I'm also aware that if you look at Electoral Act section 75, it requires INEC to reject names, symbols, or logos resembling existing ones. So they must make sure that they stay clear from these existing ones. So they must have headquarters in the Federal Capital Territory. They must have headquarters in Abuja. So it's in line with section 222 subsection D that the party must have its principal office in Abuja. They must also have federal character and national spread. Because if you go by section 223 of the Constitution, it says that the members of the executive committee of a political party must reflect federal character spread across at least 2/3 of the state. Where you have the national chairman, the national deputy chairman, south, north, well, you know how they do it. You also have the national legal advisor, the women leader. All these offices must have spread. At least people that command these offices must come from at least 24 states. So it is important. So they must also, there are other, I think I can remember most of these for now. So, and remember, even the law also mandate INEC to reject applications where the national spread requirement is not met. So if you talk about requirements, is a strenuous one. They must have federal character and national spread. Their headquarters must be in Abuja, and they must have presence in 2/3 of the states. Apart from having a national headquarters in Abuja, you must have offices in at least 24 states. So it's part of the spread we are talking about. You must have constitution. You must have membership register. Your governing executive must be democratically elected, and it must be seen that it will be after every 4 years. So these are some of the requirements. And just like I said earlier on, remember, these are legal requirements. INEC has their own guidelines. And what do you call it? They call it guidelines. INEC has its own guidelines. But just like I was telling you, that judgment of 2002-2003 by the Supreme Court that opened the windows for registration of more political parties because Obasanjo had wanted that the existing political parties at that time be the only political parties. In fact, at most, they will be deregistered if they don't conform with other requirements of winning elections and others of being there. But I can tell you that most of these political parties you see, many of them are not coming to win election. Many of them are not coming to fulfill the chapter 2 of the Constitution. Many of them, they are just there to do business, racketeering business. That's what many of them are coming for. But over time, after major elections, if they do not do what, or if they don't measure up, INEC, just like I said earlier on, the courts, even the law, the Supreme Court gave INEC mandate to deregister such without even wasting time. So, in all of this, we must also appreciate those ruling by the Supreme Court when it came. But then the Supreme Court also, in that ruling, held that INEC guidelines cannot override the Constitution and the Electoral Act. And the Supreme Court, I remember that case, INEC versus Balarebe Musa and others. That was in 2003, where the Supreme Court held that INEC cannot impose conditions for party registration beyond those provided in the Constitution, because INEC at that point went and provided an order conditions. Supreme Court ruled you can't bring your own condition. The only condition you have to look at will be those in the Constitution and the Electoral Act. Don't bring your own condition. I remember that very case where Balarebe Musa won. And I remember when INEC took one political party. I can't remember the political party. I think it was Action Congress. They had problem with. That was in 2009, where the court held that the political associations that meet constitutional requirements must be registered. INEC cannot deny registration arbitrarily. INEC on its own cannot decide not to register a political party for whatever reason they deem that is not contained in the Constitution and does not in any way find its way in the Electoral Act. So I think ACN won that case. ACN, I think Action Congress, they won that case in 2009. Where INEC said that they did not meet this, they did not meet that. They went to court. And then Supreme Court held that you cannot deny any political association registration based on whatever you deem, So we must also make sure that it's important we follow the guidelines, the procedures as enumerated in the Constitution, as also enumerated in the Electoral Act, because these are the two guiding laws. And the court has made it possible that your guidelines are, in fact, not part of it. I saw what Supreme Court ruled in the last election, general election, where people were saying INEC issued guidelines that it must transmit the result via electronic transmission, put in IREF. They said those things, but they did not comply. Supreme Court jettisoned INEC guidelines. In fact, the court does not even see INEC guidelines as a law.
Okay, so we have to go for commercial break now, but once we return, we'll be able to wrap up and then open the phone line, because INEC has said that the leaders of the 14 associations that have been, that scaled through, they have been invited for a meeting with INEC. That will be on Wednesday next week. Okay. And with that, they're going to kickstart the next stage of the process. And we know that this very next stage is where some of the claims, or if not all the claims that they made, all of them are going to verify and see if they can meet up the threshold and then be raised as a political party. As it stands now, we have 18 of them. And if we have 14 added, of course, we should be counting 30-something. And that brings the question of, what does multiple party system give Nigeria? Have we been able to maximize the benefits of multi-party system in the country? Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Udala Radio 104.7 FM, seriously authentic.
Your quality bread, Wendy's bread, for your family breakfast. Wendy's bread, Opa chicken they do yellow. Wendy's bread, Mama Papa they like Wendy's bread. bread, not to turn and do. When this bread, even children they like when this bread, when this bread, get it better, best we go sweet your belly. When this bread, when this your bachijama. When this bread,
when this bread, your tasty bread, you can contact us on our official address, Second Business Park, Enugu Road, GRA, beside Misha, Anambra State. We also have another branch at St. Michael Plaza at Tandy Road. Also contact us on 070-1149-1571. Wendy's bread, your tasty bread.
Wendy's bread.
My people, I present to you the most preferred governorship candidate for Anambra State, John Chuma Mbosu of the African Democratic Congress, ADC. John Chuma Mbosu is ready to take Anambra State from insecurity to peace, from regression to progression. Vote John Chuma Mbosu. Vote ADC, African Democratic Congress.
ADC! ADC!
Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Seriously authentic.
Listening to the Polity. Get involved now.
It's 19:30 a.m. and you are listening to the Polity on that radio 104.7 FM. Of course, we have been bringing you developments in the Polity, the way they are captured by various newspapers. We have taken our discussions from the issues regarding the INEC shortlisting of 14 associations for them to move to the next stage of registration as political parties. We also talked about the case of the Obi of Lagos, who was arrested by the police, and some other things we have brought here with this very morning. Of course, we are going to open the phone lines now to bring you on board before we get to talk about other talking points we have. 0803-221-6973 or 0803-827-6694. Don't forget that our social media platforms are also available for you to join this very conversation. On Facebook, we are Udala Radio 104.7 FM. Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, your name?
My name is Badmus. I'm calling from Onewu.
Go on, Badmus.
Good. Let me go to the issue of brouhaha between Dangote and Dupeng. Let's clear ourselves this simple truth. In every country, there must be a company of one or two which the country supports directly. For instance, in the United States has been supporting Tesla and so many factories that are manufacturing things in the United States. Even the Apple, do you understand? Even Google, they are supporting them, giving them some subsidies and other things. But they will not give it to everybody. So, if Dangote honors such favor from ruling government, people should not be envying him. Because based on what I see, what Tony is saying this morning, all I can see there is envy. You understand? Because Dupeng, or whatever they call themselves, they cannot compete with Dangote. The businesses that Dangote went in, like cement and others, he went there to do what is necessary for him to dominate the system, and he dominated the system. So if Ibeto was knocked out of cement, it's because he did not do his calculation very well. So I don't see what Dangote is doing is good. It is going to bring down the price of fuel. And let me tell you, had it been that Dangote did not enter into cement industry, I bet you the price of cement could have been more than what Nigerians have been buying it. Now that Dangote have pulled out of cement, go and price a bag of cement now.
Badmus, did you say that Dangote has put out of cement?
Go to market whether you will see any Dangote cement. I'm talking about Southeast. I don't know about other regions. Go to any popular market and see if you will see.
So is that your basis of saying that he has put out of cement business?
As long as you cannot see his product in the market, I'm assuming maybe he's considering or something of that nature. Now let me move to the other side. The issue of ADC. But I want to ask you, Tony, please, that there was a political party, A-Rufai fronted. Is it among the political party that INEC accepted? I want to know. And finally, on the issue of Ezendibo, let me tell you, I don't think they are just holding him there. Somebody unveiled a prototype. What is a prototype? Is it not a cartoon of something? If I become this, I'm going to do this, and you go and arrest that person. The Lebanese government went overboard. I thought the guy built the so-called 1.5 billion mansion.
All right, that must be all. That'll be all.
So you have no people.
All right, thank you. So that we can add a bit more colors. Hello. Okay, 0803-221-6973 or 0803-827-6694. Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning, Franklin.
Yes, good morning. Your name?
Monday Johnson. Good morning, Mr. Speaker, Tony Mbeki.
Yeah, welcome. It's good to have you.
Okay, sorry.
Thank you.
Sorry, please, before you go on, Monday Johnson, I forgot to do that. Dangote has not pulled out of cement business. The only thing he did was that he stepped down as chairman of the cement of the board. That's the only thing he did, but he hasn't left cement business. Please go on.
Thank you. The SND of a thing that is actually polluting the air. Mr. Speaker, I think I so much respect you. Your analysis are something I actually am proud of. But I want to know what we have across the western region of Nigeria in terms of the nomenclature of traditional rulers. About Oba, that's the one I can remember. And I have not heard where you see a person, a traditional leader in that region, answering Eze in the Yoruba or Eze in the Osun or something like that. Or Obi of this or that. And I am asking myself, can a law in that region captured a kind of forbidding a person in traditional law to bear a name, Obi or Eze? I think with the law is not captured forbidding person to bear a traditional title as Oba or something like that, they answer within their region. Coming to Anambra here, we have Obi of Onitsha. We have, I think, Obi of Nnewi or something like that. There is no law here, to the best of my knowledge, in Anambra, that will forbid people coming from Yoruba side to have that title here, Oba of Yoruba in Onitsha and others. Now, going to court with this kind of argument, the person did not encroach your own title. The title he bears is a title that is synonymous with his own region, not your own region. Going to court with this argument, what do you think will come out of it at the end of the day? Because the reason why I come out this way is for us that are here in the court of public opinion to actually know our stand in a case like this. Good morning.
All right, so good morning, Monday Johnson. Let's have another.
I'll answer you later on.
Okay.
A wonderful morning to you, Franklin.
Yeah, hello, good morning.
Good morning.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Honorable Dick, and I'm calling you from Onitsha.
Go on.
I think the Lagos state government is going overboard. If I should even say, I think recently the Davido got married to one of our sisters here, and are happily married. He did his wedding somewhere in Texas or Florida, I've forgotten the state in US. We have some dignitaries graced the occasion. The way the Yorubas, or Lagos state government to be precise, not all Yorubas, is going towards the Igbos is what I don't really get here. Let me assume that if the name of this young man is Obi, and he's answering Obi of his apartment that he have just built, invited friends, I mean, which law far outweighs Nigerian law? Freedom of movement, freedom of association. Even recently, the DSS is asking Showore to delete his post where he called the president a criminal. And he said he will never do that. Why would the Lagos state government not allow Igbos to rest, or the Yorubas? Because why I'm standing this way, there are some of our sisters that are married to Yorubas. Do we return their dowry back? Because this is just an issue that is not even an issue. Somebody came out and said he's the Obi of Lagos, or Obi of his apartment, or maybe probably Obi, let me even call him Obi of Lagos. Or even he say he's the Obi of Lagos. Haven't you seen people answering, giving their children names Trump and Joe Biden and stuff? All these, look at the way they just bounced on Peter B's brother's property. What have come out of it? Look at how they're pushing Igbo songs all around Lagos. Just street, ordinary street that they named after an Igbo person is being rebranded. I don't really understand the Yorubas, some of the Yorubas, not all Yorubas. The envy and jealousy they have for the Igbos. Now, what prevents this young man from answering any name he wants to? Even if he wants to answer Adolf Hitler, or he wants to become, say that he's Satan of Edo State. How does, why should a reasonable government that should look at the flooding in Lagos? Whenever it rains, I think about some couple of weeks back, people couldn't even go to their businesses. Flood all over the place.
All right, DK, that will be
this
all.
Hello?
That will be all. Your time is
Yeah,
up.
this government can think on the serious issues to do. I just want to stand this. Ohanese should sit up. Igbo government should sit up. This insult is getting out of hand. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning, Frank.
Yes, good morning.
Antonio Olisa Mbeki, good morning to
Good
you.
morning, you're welcome. It's good to have you.
Okay, see, I'm calling from Monitor.
Go on.
Well, I'll keep saying this. We claim that we are a democratic country, but we are not. There is no how anybody will define this issue of Obi of Lagos State for me, and I will accept. We have presidency in England. Is it not an power? We have State of England and King of England. They say around that. In some other countries that are practicing democracy, to the extent of a king of England, but they are not tackling SND from England. Please, stop this jealousy of their faith. You understand? Because they are even fighting their father brother. So this thing cannot even happen in North. So no matter anybody is trying to do these things, you cannot confuse or maybe convince me to this, because we are in a democratic country. So long as that democracy or whatever the person is trying to do, the government is not legalize it. You are just drama. This is just a drama. Simple as that. And then again, there's something you said, Mr. Speaker, concerning building another airport in Anambra State. If I talk now, the same allocation, you can have talked again. You understand? I didn't see this why you will decide another airport in Anambra State. In fact, Soludo know what he's doing. Look at other government chairman, the way they are functioning, and look at the one that's functioning on his side. Functioning as if he is the governor of that particular state. You ask yourself, what is happening? He keeps developing his people. Well, it's a good thing to them, as long as he's in Anambra State. But he's doing things, trying to develop his own area, living other place, is questionable. Thank you very much.
All right, okay, thank you.
I actually want to clarify people on this issue of Oba Eze and all that. let us speak from the angle of knowledge other than to speak from the angle of ignorance. One, bearing a title and then trying to hold an ofala where you will be installed at SND, but they are not the same thing. Please, they are not. People confuse bearing a simple title and then holding ofala where you will be installed. There are two different things. Yes, when people say that we are practicing democracy, democracy does not make you to insult anybody and do whatever you want to do. There are laws that shake some of the things we do, even when we practice democracy. You can agree with me, yes, that we have gone overboard in the way we go about some of the things in the country. But it is important we point out these things very clear to our people. Every place you go in this world, for the fact it's allowed in England, does not mean that it will be allowed in Kano. England has its own laws. Kano has its own laws. Don't make such generalization. The first thing you ask anywhere you go is, what does the law in that place say? Now, just like I said earlier on, you ask some, I think Monday just asked great questions. There is no law in Nigeria that criminalizes the use of the title Ezendebo. There is no law. And neither the 1999 Constitution nor the Lagos State Obas and Chief Laws provides any offense for calling oneself. Anybody can, can address Franklin here. Ezendebo. Ezendebo. It's just a name. So, bearing the title alone is not a crime that can warrant arrest or prosecution. The government could only step in if other offenses are involved, like if installation ceremony, because you are trying to install. You look at the invite, and where it's expected there could be breach of peace because people who are living there may not agree with what you are trying to do. And if someone uses that title to defraud others, government cannot sit idly where somebody can use such a title with ostensibly display that it could be used to defraud others. Then in fact that can be charged under criminal law of Lagos State. If the person claims that the third recognition is given or granted to him by the Lagos State government, the most important thing is this. Let us say this. It is important we are guided by law. If you look at the principal legislation on the issue of chieftaincy in Lagos, they have chieftaincy law. The Obas and Chief Laws of Lagos State, Cap 25, Laws of Lagos State 2015, as I cited yesterday. Section 3 empowers the governor to recognize and approve the appointment of Obas and Chiefs in Lagos State. In fact, Section 25 declares that no person shall be installed or paraded as an Oba or Chief in Lagos State without the governor's approval. You cannot be installed or paraded even if you say that the person is not answering Oba. SND is a chief. More like. So that word chief covers what other people may be doing. So it's important. I think I have explained this. I can tell you more about the law of the Obas.
Let's take more reactions. Maybe towards the end, if we have more time, we can also talk more on this. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, your name?
I'm calling from Onitsha.
What did you say is your name?
My name is John.
Okay, I'm quite sorry. Where you are is quite noisy. It was difficult for us to hear you very well. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Mr. Franklin and Mr. Speaker.
You're welcome. It's good to have you.
This is SNW speaking. I know Tony will laugh. Hey! Tony, the truth is that I don't want to talk about chieftaincy title or whatever is illegal. But I want to react on the issue of Dangote and the Lubeng and Ipman. Let me tell you the truth. Dangote has a plan towards what he wants to do. Dangote wants to suppress the people that are eating through fuel business. They want to suppress drivers. You know that many people are mechanics towards tanker. They are tanker mechanics. They are tanker organizers. Also, those that are doing fuel business, at a stage, they may be against the movement. Because if Dangote started supplying fuel now with his own tanker, I know it's free, because nobody has anything that can benefit, that he or she can benefit from. So what you want to do, you want to suppress the people that are eating through that. And that is monopoly, and what is not good. This is what you do towards the issue of cement. You know that, and people are now suffering from it. You now increase the price of cement. So, I don't support the idea of what he's trying to do. Just like now, UO is into transport. Young is into transport. Likewise, others. So, are you trying to tell me that now you will now stop others doing transport business so he can do it alone? No, now. If the people can allow that, that means he can fix any price he wants when he has already suppressed and marginalized people. So I don't support the idea. Let him allow others to do their own business and do his own. Thank you.
Okay, Tony, that's the first question that I wanted to ask. Okay. Do we, aside the Dangote refinery, do we have marketers who import petrol into the country and then store at their tank farm that truck drivers can go there, or these IPMA members can go there, get their product and send to their filling stations?
We don't, because before you import product into the country, you must access foreign exchange. So who is going to give you the foreign exchange? You're going to buy the product and store in your tank farm. So before now, NNPC Limited is the sole importer of this product. But once it imports, some of these marketers that have tank farms do store those products there, where marketers come and then take those products from their country. So it's important we understand it. So it takes a lot to import the products.
So in essence, do we have only Dangote refinery as a source of petrol in the country?
No, we have NNPC Limited, and they still import. There's no doubt. And they try to make us believe that they produce locally, they refine locally. But it has been proven over time that they do not do that. So